Good evening, everyone. I'm Ron. Welcome, everyone, to today's teaching. Is anybody here for the first time? Hey, what's up, my friend? How you doing? All right. That's right. Okay, we have a few announcements before we start. If you haven't already silenced your cell phones, please do so at this time. Silence your alarms and so on. And put your phones away so you can be fully present for the talk and meditation. If you must use your phone, please do so outside the meditation hall. We invite you to join us for our weekly Tuesday events, the medicine Buddha practice at 6 p.m. and our public talk at 7 p.m. Next week, for our Tuesday evening talk, Geshe Phende will continue speaking on the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva with the practice of concentration. Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m., the Drepung Loseling monks conduct evening prayers for His Holiness the Dalai Lama's long life and other teachers' long life. On Thursdays at 4:30 p.m., except for this Thursday, the Loseling monks conduct the Protector Puja for smooth journey, success of interviews and medical treatments, new businesses, etc. Our founder and spiritual director of DLM Atlanta, Geshe will be leaving us for a 3-year meditation retreat in India. If you would like to get your copy of his latest book, Engage Compassion, signed before he leaves, there is one final opportunity. Geshe will lead Sunday meditation on September 13th. Books are also available in the gift shop. The center will be closed for the Labor Day holiday weekend, and all practices are canceled. Visit our archives on Vimeo or YouTube to find something of interest or to catch up on a previous talk. As a reminder, please do not park on the grass along the driveway or behind the building. If the lot is full, overflow parking can be found via Skyland Drive at the John Lewis Elementary School outside of school operating hours. Only access the school parking via Skyland Drive and walk through to our site. Information on all events can be found in the lobby and on our website at drepung.org. If anyone is interested in volunteer opportunities to get more involved in supporting our center and programs, please see me or our volunteer coordinator, Michael Duffel, who's in the back in the checker shirt. If you are interested in becoming a member to support our ongoing programs and take advantage of benefits like discounts on courses and retreats, applications are available in the library. You can also register online at drepung.org. There is a donation box near the entrance to this room. Your generous support helps us continue to offer programs and services like this to our Atlanta community and to those around the world through our online platforms. Now, please stand as we invite our resident teacher, Geshe Phende to come in for today's practice.
Okay, so first we're going to recite the mantra of Heart Sutra. And during the recitation of this mantra, it is very good if you're really able to meditate on emptiness. It's a really powerful, and that's the main, the purpose of reciting Heart Sutra mantra. And at least some of you may don't know this emptiness, then you can, any types of the meditation, for instance, meditate on compassion to all beings, or meditate on bodhicitta, any others. So the point is, during the recitation of the mantra, it's good to at least meditate, but your mind should be fully concentrate, right? Tayata gati gati paragati parasangati bodhisoha 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 tayata gati gati paragati parasangati bodhisoha. Now next is the four imaginables. So when we recite this prayer, you should meditate on compassion, love, joyfulness, and equanimity. So for instance, when we say, may all beings have happiness, that time you not just only think, you should really sincerely feel from your heart, you really wish every beings, including the people you don't like, so wish them to have happiness, right? Same, then next is the compassion, then joyfulness, equanimity. So reciting prayer, we meditate on each of these four imaginables. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachments and hatred. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachments and hatred. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachments and hatred. Now next is the mandala, which is mandala. It means actually it's universe. So you need to set up the intention to listening this important teaching for sake of overcome all your destructive emotion, all your ignorance, through that to achieve enlightenment Buddhahood oneself, for sake of all beings, to benefit to all beings, to becoming Buddha or to achieving enlightenment is to benefit to others. Right? So in order to achieve that, you need to first understand how to overcome all these obstacles. That is why I'm going to listen these teachings. So out of these intention, then you offer your merit, form of universe, then offer to the teacher, and what you call the purpose of this offering is to receive the teachings. So out of these visualization, we're going to recite the mandala offering. Ohoi sai shi pi ki choi shi ai me ai to tamai ri ai rava li shi ni ai de ai ke ba Sangye Shinto Mi Te Bu Waye Toye Kuye Nama Dai Shin La Chue Pa Yidam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniya Tayami. Okay, so before the teaching, actual teaching, we have this prayer we recited for mainly to set up the good intention. That's the main purpose. So the teaching is the text which is called the 37 Practices of Bodhisattva. So today we are in practice number 28. So number of times I explained this text right? The main subject, the essence of the subject is ultimate bodhicitta and conventional bodhicitta, right? So ultimate bodhicitta means wisdom, who understanding the ultimate truth. What is the reality? That part, the teaching will come later. So right now we are in conventional bodhicitta. So the conventional bodhicitta, which means first, you cultivate maybe the first, as a human beings, right? We have a natural, innate, natural desire, which is wish to free from suffering and wish to achieve happiness. That desire, every beings have equally, same. Based on that desire, we seeking ourselves free from suffering and to achieve the happiness. So in order to overcome suffering, in order to achieve happiness, first we need to understand suffering, right? The suffering you really want to get rid of that. What are those sufferings? That's how first we learn all the different types of the suffering which we have. Majority people, we only knows one of the grosser level of suffering. But really there are certain type of the suffering, when they appear, looks like a happiness, pleasure. But when you get it, when you achieved it, then it is not real happiness. It turned into the suffering, right? Called suffering of change. Then there is another level of suffering which is really difficult to understand, that called suffering of conditioning. So we first learning each of these suffering, then looking these sufferings coming from where? Who causes these suffering, right? Without causes, it cannot be exist, right? Any result, in order to exist, they have to have causes first, right? Without causes, there is no result. It's called the law of causality. That's the nature. Anything, any result, when they arises, they have some causes. So we've been studying to learn what are the causes of these sufferings, right? The external causes, the internal causes, then finally the main causes of all these sufferings which we've been suffer, right? Another word is the main causes of circle in samsara, right? Mundane, what you call complicated life is your own ignorance, your own destructive emotions, wrong perceptions, right? Mental afflictions. And these are the main causes. And these emotions, these mental afflictions create actions, right? Through body, speech, and mind. Actions. That's called karma, right? These are the causes of suffering. So now, seeking, in order to get rid of these suffering, we need to overcome these causes, which are your own mental afflictions. So how should we overcome, right, mental affliction? How should we overcome negative karmas? That's why we study all of this. So finally, finally, the main, what you call method or the path to overcome all your mental affliction is wisdom who understanding the ultimate truth, ultimate bodhicitta, right? Wisdom of emptiness. Reason why? Because through the research, Buddha himself and all the number of great masters and scholars, generation to generation, research and experiment, like a famous psychologist, right? Through their understanding, what they discover is the fundamental causes of all your mental affliction, right? Your negative emotion is mind of self-grasping, right? Mind of ego-grasping, self-grasping. So what is that mind? This is the mind who grasps, who apprehending any objects, any phenomena, something completely wrong and mistake, right? So that's why this mind of self-grasping is the one who create us, who created anger, attachment, jealousy, arrogance, selfish, all the rest of the destructive emotion. And these destructive emotion create negative, what you call the mistake action, mistake decision, mistake by body, speech, and mind, right? We act through three doors: body, speech, and mind. So every our action, body, speech, and minds become mistake because any action we acted, it's coming from your mind. When the mind is mistake, decisions comes mistake, actions comes mistake. When you act wrong, result, you ended up to the wrong place. That's called samsara, right? So that's how we learning how to get rid of this wrong perception. So what is the truth? What kind of things we not really understand? That is why the philosophy, right? Philosophy, which is called the emptiness, dependent origination. Every phenomena exists dependently, right? Interdependency. Nothing, anything from there. So that's how all this philosophy we learn from these texts to help us to understand what is the real reality. Reality is not based on what Buddha say, what this master says. That doesn't mean on that. This means how these things exist, how self exists, how these flowers, others exist, because they are exist, of course, it's functioning. But how does that exist? We have lots of what you call misperception, wrong understanding. That is why anger, attachment, greed, all these negative emotions arises. That's how we circle, right? So we study what things are true, we study, research, and then finally, when you found something, discover, then we implement it, meditate. Through that, we change our mental afflictions, right? That is why, first, to understanding all of these wrong perception, all the sufferings, and seeking oneself desperately, purpose of my life is to achieve happiness. Since childhood to till today, my understanding of happiness is absolutely wrong. Because we're thinking happiness, which means being a rich, being a famous, right? Being a powerful person. So we are looking some kind of external materialistic happiness. Then we learn that even you become one of the richest person doesn't mean you are the happiest person, right? Even you becoming one of the famous doesn't mean you are the happiest person. There are number of very rich people, there are number of very famous celebrities ended up with the suffering of depression, anxiety. Sometimes they commit suicide themselves. There are lots of unfortunate things. If they are really happy, who will going to do these things, right? So we're learning this. So there is something happiness which we do not know that. Our understanding or believing on happiness which is not true happiness. These are just for temporary, not guarantee happiness. That's how we learn. Then finally, through understanding on that, then we cultivating, knowing all this mundane pleasure, which is we first think this is true happiness, but ended up these are still not pure happiness. That's why renounce all this mundane pleasure and seeking really ultimate happiness, which is freedom of your mental afflictions, right? Freedom of all this destructive emotion, liberation, enlightenment. So first seeking oneself to achieve that, that's called self-compassion. And the Buddhist specific term, renunciation. But that's we first started there. So to have this renunciation, you really need to understand many things. Without knowing, of course, we're not going to cultivate it. That's why we study this book, right? Then after you got it, then you're looking to entire sentient beings. They also suffer. Not only me. Entire beings are also suffering. That's why you open your heart. Not only me, rest of entire being, they are same like me. They want to live happy. They do not want suffering like me. They have same problem. Circle in samsara, they think happiness, which means these material things. They put so much effort constantly, right? Decades and decades to get this. But do they really happy after that? Not at all. They still have so much mental issue, physical problems, all kind of these three different types of the suffering. They also suffer. That's why you feel compassion, right? I really wish other beings, same like me, wish them to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. That's called compassion. After renunciation, you generate compassion, right? Towards others. Love. You wish them to have happiness. Love. Just that wish, not that much helps you, right? Eventually you may feel hopeless. There's countless of beings there, and they're suffering. I cannot do anything. Just I wish, my wish will not going to release their suffering. I can cultivate wish them to be free from suffering. That doesn't mean they will going to be free from their suffering, right? So eventually you may feel hopeless. That is why next is called unusual attitude, special compassion. What that means, special compassion is not just you wish them to be free from suffering. You take self-responsibility. I will going to save them, not just wish them to be free from suffering. wish to save them, wish to help them, like a parents. When their child suffer, they're not just only thinking, I wish my child be free from suffering. Not only that, parents, what they think, they're above that. They take full responsibility, right? I will going to save my child. I will going to help to my child, right? They're two different ways. When you see the other people suffer, you may feel, I wish them to be free from suffering. When your own family suffer, not only that, upon that, wish to take care. I will going to take care, right? I will save them. I will help them. That kind of attitude called unusual attitude, special compassion, which means first you have compassion to all. The next step is called unusual attitude, which means wish to save entire beings from their suffering and the causes of suffering. So that wish, how can you cultivate it? Because you know all of these suffering coming from causes is their self-grasping, ignorance, destructive emotion, right? Each of them, because through your own experience, renunciation, same others suffer because of their ignorance, mental afflictions, right? So their ignorance are changeable. My ignorance is also changeable. Their ignorance are changeable. Their mind of self-grasping is curable because it's a wrong consciousness, just not knowing the truth, just misunderstanding. When you really understand the truth, their misperception will change, right? When they understand the truth, their wrong perception, wrong view will be changed. So every being's, their mental affliction, their wrong consciousness are changeable. Therefore, their sufferings are curable. It's not something hopeless, right? It's changeable. Therefore, I wish to help them. I wish to save them. Not only wish them to be free from suffering, wish to help them, because it is changeable. That kind of mind, unusual. After you get it there, okay, now how can you change? How can you save to other beings, right? How can you do it? So, best method is teach them what is the truth, education, right? Dharma, Buddha Dharma, Buddha's teachings are education. It's psychology, it's philosophy, these are the logics, these are the education. So I can teach these important teaching where Buddha taught us. When they're understanding on each of these philosophy and teaching, they themselves can able to overcome their misperception, right? When you're understanding the philosophy, emptiness philosophy, and that wisdom can help to overcome your mind of self-grasping, right? So, best way to help them means to educate them, to teach. Teaching is the main, what you call the action to help to other beings. So in order to teach them, first yourself need to fully understand, right? You need to free from all your ignorance, all your misperception, full of knowledge. So when you have all of completed knowledge, then you can teach to other people. Huge benefit, right? That is why I need to achieve complete knowledge. It's called Buddhahood, enlightenment, right? Enlightenment, Buddhahood, which means completed of the knowledge or completed of freedom of all the ignorance, right? Free from all the ignorance, full of knowledge, that kind of mental quality, it's called Buddha in Latin, mind. So therefore, I really need to achieve enlightenment, enlightened mind. My purpose is to teach them, to help them, to guide them, right? So that's called wish to achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood oneself, for sake of entire beings. That's called bodhicitta, right? The bodhicitta. So that's one of the essence of this subject we've been studying. Now when you achieve the bodhicitta, wish to achieve Buddhahood for sake of all being, doesn't mean you will going to achieve Buddhahood, right? Now you have to go to the path to get there, right? So how should you get there? Through 6 paramita, 6 perfection. Through 6 perfection. Perfection of generosity, perfection of ethics, perfection of patience, perfection of effort, then perfection of concentration, then finally perfection of wisdom. 6 paramitas. So 6 paramita or 6 perfections are the vehicle. They are the method, the vehicle who leads you, right, to enlightenment, Buddhahood, right? That is why today in this stanza, practice number 28, we're talking about perfection of effort, right? Last we finished perfection of generosity, ethics, patience, we finish, right? Now today number 4 is perfection of effort. So this kind of the practice. So you have to understanding, the link, how go this way. It's not just this started from renunciation practice to all the way to the bodhicitta, then 6 paramita, right? Started that way. So now perfection of effort here, practice 28, the first I'm going to recite in Tibetan and then after in English. Because I mentioned, some of you may new here, in the Buddhist tradition, when we learn the text, certain type of the text we call oral transmission, blessing. So that when you receive the oral transmission blessing with study, it is believing it's much easier to future, to experience, to what you call practice. Sometime when we study this philosophy, it may remain what you call the academic level, right? Academic means you know everything, but you not experience anything. You not put it into the practice, right? That's academic. It's not that much benefit to you. You have knowledge, but it's not benefit to you. Like for instance, somebody give you the medicine to cure you have a headache. You have a medicine. You leave medicine on your table. You have it, but you not take it. If you don't take it, your headache will not going to cure, right? So same, you know the practice, but if you not apply, if you not experience, not practice, then these practice will not benefit to you. That is why oral transmission blessing helps to experience not only academic level, also experiential level, receive blessing, which means to helps you future to experience also, not academic, right? That's why I first recite in Tibetan. Rangtuen Bashitube Nyera Yang Gola Mesho Doctor Tsun Tongna Drepung tendo yunden chungne ki jundu tsomba jese lakle yins. Seeing even hearers and solitary realizers who accomplish only their own good strive as if to put out a fire on their head. For the sake of all beings, make enthusiastic effort, the source of all good qualities. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So which means seeing even hearers and solitary realizers. In the Buddhists, we have two different lineage. When Buddha taught the Dharma, it spread two different lineage. One is called Theravada tradition. One is called Mahayana tradition, right? Theravada and Mahayana, two different traditions. Theravada, distinguish these. There are many things. One of the Theravada Buddhism is general. It is called common Buddhist. Common means all the Buddhists practice that. This is kind of the basic foundation of the Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism is called Maha. Maha in Sanskrit means great, right? Yana means vehicle, great vehicle. Mahayana means the higher, means more difficult practice. Why it is called Maha, great, means this Mahayana practice, the one of the essence of the intention, the method aspect of their practice is compassion to entire beings. That's the one of the main intention. So great means their mind is huge, big, right? Their mind is covered to entire beings, huge, big. That is called great vehicle. So Theravada, when Buddha teach the Dharma, usually India during that time, number of language, mainly there's 4 different language they use. Among the 4, one of the very popular language called Pali language. It's very popular. So most of the Mahayana teachings, when Buddha taught, he used Pali language, most of them. So sometimes people call Mahayana Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, sometimes they call Pali tradition Buddhism. Because the most of, doesn't mean everything, the most of the teaching, they use Pali language. Mahayana Buddhism, when Buddha taught, used mostly Sanskrit language. So that's why sometimes they call Mahayana Buddhism, they call Sanskrit tradition, right? But that doesn't mean all the Mahayana texts should be in Sanskrit. That doesn't mean that. There are some texts, it's still available in the Pali, but the most of the major texts used in Sanskrit. That is why the Mahayana Buddhist followers, mostly they, what you call interest to learn Sanskrit language, reciting number of the mantras, all of them in Sanskrit. In the Pali tradition followers, their number of the prayer, when they recite in Pali language, right? So the Pali tradition, after from India, when they spread it, mostly it goes through more southern part, from India to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thai, Cambodia, all of those region, the majority follows Pali tradition. It's called the Theravada tradition. Mahayana, it goes from India to China to Vietnam, Korea, Japan, all this region, right? And from India to Tibet, and from Tibet to Mongolia and all the Himalayan regions spread it. These are called Mahayana tradition, which mostly what you call the texts are available in Sanskrit language, right? There are two. So in the Theravada, perspective, when they achieve the path, right, or their final goal, distinguish between Mahayana and Theravadas, one of the differences is Theravadas, mainly they're emphasizing on self-liberation, right? So Mahayana, final goal, they emphasize on enlightenment, Buddhahood. So it's entirely differences. Our final goal, there are two, liberation and enlightenment, Buddhahood, two things. So the Theravadas are mostly focused on liberation, self-liberation. Mahayana focus on enlightenment. Reason is Theravada's main intention, method is renunciation. I mentioned earlier, renunciation is the main method aspect of the practice, the intention. Mahayana Buddhist, their main intention is bodhicitta, right? Awakening mind. I mentioned earlier bodhicitta, what that means. That's the Mahayana's main intention. That's why two different intention, the goal become two different. One is liberation, one is enlightenment, Buddhahood. Liberation, enlightenment, what's the distinguish between these two, right? When Buddha taught the obstacle, right, the causes of suffering, the things which we need to get rid of these, he introduced mainly there are two obstacles. One is called afflictive obscuration. Another obstacle called cognitive obscuration. Cognitive, right? Afflictive and cognitive, two different obstacles. Afflictive obscuration, what that means? Afflictive obscuration means destructive emotion, right? Anger, attachment, jealousy, arrogance, mind of self, grasping, all these emotion, all these wrong perceptions called afflictive obscuration, right? Cognitive obscuration means very subtle. It's called imprints of your attachment, anger, mind of self-grasping, imprints, right? Imprints. Or you can say tendency, right? Imprints, tendencies. So that imprints called cognitive obscuration. So afflictive, cognitive obscuration is very subtle, more difficult to purify, more difficult. That's why afflictive obscuration, which means freedom from afflictive obscuration, that's called liberation, right? Liberation, which means freedom, cessation of your afflictive obscuration. Enlightenment, Buddhahood, which means freedom from cognitive obscuration, right? The cessation of cognitive obscuration called Buddhahood. Cessation of afflictive obscuration called self-liberation. That's what two different goals, right? But the Buddhahood is more difficult because in order to purify the imprints of destructive emotion, first you need to clean destructive emotion, right? Without purified destructive emotion, you cannot purify the imprints. The smell cannot purify, right? That is why Buddhahood is much higher, more difficult. That Mahayana practitioners, their final goal is Buddhahood. So Theravada's practitioner, their final goal is liberation, right? There's two to distinguish. Usually they use the example between afflictive and cognitive distinguish, called garlic and the smell of the garlic, two things, right? You crush the garlic in the bowl, you crush it, you clean it, right? No garlic. You put the ice cream, then you eat it, what? Smell. Garlic smells there. It polluted your ice cream, right? Even there's no garlic, but the smell can affect it, right? It's what you call contaminated your ice cream. So to clean the smell of the garlic, it takes much longer, more difficult, right? First you clean, garlic is clean it, but smell still there. To clean that you have to do so much. To clean, put all this, whatever soap or anything, right? Similarly, garlic is like an afflictive obscuration, destructive emotion. Smell of the garlic is cognitive obscuration, the imprints of destructive emotion. That's how you should distinguish these two, how differences. So that is why in Theravada tradition, to achieve that self-liberation, there are two different paths. One, it's not that much smarter student, Theravadas, not smart student, one very smart student. Two different ways they get there. So that is why here, seeing even hears and solitary realizer. Hears, it's called Sarvakayana in Sanskrit. It's the Theravada practitioner who are less smart, not that much smart. That's called hear. And the solitary realizer are the Theravada practitioner, much smarter. They're much smarter. They're called the solitary realizers. So both of them are the Theravada's practitioner, hear and solitary realizers. So these two practitioners, right, to accomplish, realize, who accomplish only their own good. So only their own good means self-liberation, right? They own the benefit, their self-liberation, freedom from samsara, freedom from afflictive obscuration. So their own good strive as if to put out a fire on their head. Means to get there, their own liberation, they put so much effort to achieve the liberation, right? For instance, if the fire, it has put out a fire on their head. If your head is a fire, right? You say, oh wait, first I'm going to eat, first I'm going to drink. You're not going to wait. Instantly you put effort to clean, to stop that fire, right? Similarly, they put so much effort to achieve that, even not miss 1 or 2 minutes. They constantly put effort to achieve their liberation. That's how they achieve the liberation. Because achieve liberation is not easy, right? Have to put decades and decades of constantly put effort, meditate to overcome all of their destructive emotion. Is not easy. So even solitary realizer doing that type of effort, then why not, for the sake of all beings, this Mahayana practitioner, Bodhisattvas, right? They seeking themselves to become a Buddha is for sake of all beings, entire beings. Solitary and hearers, they seeking liberation is for sake of themselves, right? They renounce all the samsara. They do not want to circle in samsara. That is why they themselves, to achieve self-liberation. Even to have that, they put so much effort, right? Then why not as a Mahayana, who's doing for sake of entire beings, seeking oneself to become a Buddha? How much you have to put effort? Of course, you have to put more effort than Theravadas practitioners. That's why here saying, for sake of all beings, make enthusiastic effort, right? The source of all good qualities, which is enlightenment, Buddhahood, right? Source of all good quality. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So that means Bodhisattva, to achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood, just wish to become a Buddha doesn't mean you will going to become a Buddha, right? You have to put effort constantly, not just one time. Even the mundane thing, wants to become a rich, doesn't mean you're going to become a rich, right? You have to put so much effort, work constantly. Then you can make a money. Then you can reach, right? Your goal is just wants to achieve that goal doesn't mean you will get it. If you not put effort, you will never ever going to reach that level, right? So the effort is most important. Many people, our problem is lack of effort. As a practitioner, sometimes we think, oh, I want to achieve Buddhahood, wants to achieve compassion, wants to become a great practitioner, but day-to-day life, we're not able to put effort constantly, right? Not enough effort, then we not reach each of this realization. So that is why effort is very, very important. So the paramita of effort. So paramita of effort, how can you cultivate it, right? Perseverance. How can you generate effort? It first, you need to understanding, for instance, to achieve Buddhahood or to achieve compassion. If you really want to achieve compassion, bodhicitta or Buddhahood, in order to cultivate effort, first you need to know what is the benefit of Buddhahood, what is the benefit of compassion, what is the benefit of bodhicitta, right? If you do not know the benefit, then you do not get that much effort, no effort. First, in order to cultivate effort, you need to know what is the benefit, what is the disadvantages of not having that, right? Not achieving that, what is the disadvantages? What is the advantages of achieving that? Detailed information, you need to know that, right? So the Mahayana practitioner, what's the real benefit of having bodhicitta, compassion, to achieve Buddhahood? What is the disadvantages of not having compassion, not having bodhicitta, not achieve Buddhahood? All of these things you need to know first. After, when you know, first you need to listen, right? Then you research, investigate, think, research. After, when you research, you know something. Through understanding, you believing now. The belief is not just blind belief. Say, if you have that, definitely you can do this, you can do. There's lots of benefit, right? You 100% knowing from your heart, you believing, that's called faith. Faith. you have 100% convinced, if I achieve Buddhahood, I can have so much benefit. If I achieve compassion, if I achieve bodhicitta, any of this. So that kind of confidence is called faith. Believe and convince. That belief through understand, through research, right? All of this study. So after you have a faith on Buddhahood, compassion, bodhicitta, then next step is aspiration. You need to cultivate the aspiration. Not just believe, I really aspire, want that. I really want to have compassion. I really want to have bodhicitta. I really want to achieve Buddhahood. That's called aspiration. After the aspiration, then effort. Then you get effort, right? You already put your action there to get there. So effort in the Buddhist perspective, there's a word, what really means effort, right? Usually it is called what is this name? Shantideva, right? Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva way of life. When he says, what is perseverance, effort? Then he says, it is delight in virtue. So effort here means delight in the virtue, joyful effort. Effort doesn't mean somebody push you. You have to do, otherwise I will punish you. Then they study. This is not the effort, right? You're studying, you yourself not happy to do that. You are not joy what you're doing because of somebody force you to do. So these are called not real effort. Effort means joyful. What you're doing, fully joy, right? That's called the joyful effort. That joy is when you really know what is the benefit, how much benefit you will going to get it. So then when you do, you really feel enjoying that. I will receive this, I will get that. That's called effort. So that kind of effort, what is the benefit? When you're doing anything with the effort, less tired. You don't feel that much tired. Like for instance, if you really like your work, you really enjoy your work, when you're working that, during the working, even long hour you work, you don't feel tired. Really that. But if you really don't like this job, right, then you have to work because of the money, right? Then when you do even 20 minutes, very difficult. Feel tired, it's really, even 20 minutes, you feel like this is hours and hours. Looks like that. What you're doing, if you are really enjoy it, even hours you work, you feel like, oh, it's just 10 minutes. Oh, it's just 20 minutes. You feel that way. So the time, long and short, is really depend on your mind. Feeling. Long time, feeling very short. It's really the mind. What you're doing, if you really enjoy it, you really not feel any tires, right? That's why even as a mundane work, right, samsara work, if you really want to be success, happy to work, then whatever you're working, the place, don't look only, oh, it give me money, this. That's not, give you the effort, not give you joy. Rather, okay, I work that at this company, how much is benefit, what is doing. Just look at a bigger image, bigger perspective. How much is benefiting to others, right? Think more and then either directly, either indirectly. right? It's benefiting so much there. So just think about these. I'm the Mahayana practitioner and doing this compassion meditation. So now I put my compassion into action. I'm acting now. It's benefiting this. So when you feel that and work it, very differences. Really, not feel that much tired. Doing the working, you feel joy. Not just joy. You feel like easy, not tired. It's completely different environment. Either you stay in the home, you go to the picnic, or you working in your company, feel like same way. So much joy. So if you live with that kind of life, right? The weeks, months, and years, and decades, how much fortunate life he has, right? That fortunate, joyful, their mind is that. Because of the intention, right? The compassion, thinking about others' benefit. So through that you're working like that. So when you work with the joy, that's called effort. Effort, when you put effort your work, that work becomes more successful. At the present moment, you don't feel tired, right? Not feel kind of the exhaustion. With full of joy, also huge big result. Result comes much better, much faster, right? So that's how joyful effort is the same to seeking to achieve Buddhahood, right? Or to achieve compassion, or to benefit other beings, you work. It's the same thing. So out of these kind of intention, so when you work, even when you're working, you accumulate merits. It's become part of your practice, your compassion. Everything you're doing out of compassion, it's become part of your practice. You sit inside there reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, right? The compassion mantra. Or you sit it on your desk, sincerely feel compassion to entire being. You're typing, you're doing all this work. It's same thing. Creating tremendous merits, virtues. Doing the work, it's benefit to you. Accumulate merit, your compassion is growing. Same time, less feel tired, right? That's called joyful effort. So, joyful effort, who obstructing that? Laziness. That's the problem. There are a number of laziness. According to Maitreya Buddha, same, Shanti Deva's text, when they introduce laziness, there are three different types of the laziness. One laziness is very simple, who do not want to do anything, right? Sometimes you do not work, you don't like to do work, you do not want to talk, right? It's just lazy. No reason, it's just you're tired, whatever, that type of laziness. Do not want to do anything. For the practitioner, second laziness means maybe they have one exactly translation. The laziness that grasp at the negative. So the laziness they grasp to the negative, right? At the negative. What that means, for instance, as a Mahayana practitioner who instead of put effort to cultivate compassion, to cultivate love, to meditate bodhicitta, to study the dharma, say, oh no, I have something else to do. I have to clean my garden, I have to take care of my family, I have to do some business. So you always excuse yourself to do the practice, the dharma or cultivate, so you always have something reason. So which is mundane things. Make money or make some kind of what you call position, power, or something mundane things. So you attach that, you follow that, and you miss to cultivate your bodhicitta, to cultivate wisdom of emptiness, meditation. That's how you cannot achieve constantly practice, then finally cannot achieve any of them, right? That kind of laziness. Then the third laziness is, achieve bodhicitta, it's impossible, like my life. This is my life. I have a children. I have a wife. I have a husband. I have a this. How can I achieve bodhicitta? No, your lives, monks and nuns, something you guys can do, like we cannot do it. So you put yourself very weak. You put yourself, I cannot do this. A laziness that put oneself down. So that's the one type of laziness. Quite oftenly in the Buddhist, number of the practitioners this issue, this problem. It's, Geshe, you can do practice. We cannot, because we have to go to work, we have to take care of business, we have to do this, we have to do that. Then they say we cannot. So that already put your mind cannot achieve that. Means no effort now, right? You already closed the door. Yourself closed the door that. So these all come from where? Laziness. And this laziness coming deeper level is come from attachment. Attached to mundane pleasure. Sometimes attached to family, sometimes you attach to your fame and reputation, sometimes you attach to your power, sometimes you attach to your, what you call your name or fame in your society, anything. Sometimes we cannot see this kind of attachment. It's very, very deep there. Even you don't see these things. But the symptom is you always excuse yourself, not able to put effort to the practice. You put yourself, to coming out from. Mentally, this is very important. Really need it. But actually, when you come to put it to the practice, you cannot, because of this attached to the mundane thing. That's how it's put your what you call lazy, right? General, there are many, in some Tibetan masters, who have householder, right? Marpa is the one of the highest yogi, Milarepa's teacher, main teacher. He has children, wife, he farming, he has a big farm, all kind of things doing, who's have plenty time to practice and reach very high yogis, right? You can do. So that doesn't mean I have a family, blah, 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 I cannot do. This is your laziness. If you do, you have, these people are doing that. And same time, their old age, one, during the Buddha's time, one very old guy, right, who become a monk, even he cannot memorizing 2 sentences, he have a problem because of his age. Slowly, constantly put practice, study, constantly. Of course, it take much longer than other, but he put it eventually in that his one life, he achieved liberation. That old monk become a monk very old age. He achieved Buddhahood in his life. So there's nothing to excuse age, right, as a family. All of these excuse because of your laziness. You're attached to mundane. That's why you need to understand that. So how to get rid of this laziness? Buddha taught so many antidotes. One of the very popular, practice majority doing, like even Shanti Devas using, is death meditation, impermanence. So these are really powerful. There are three different stages of the meditation. Death is certain. Means everybody, right? You should thinking about one day I will going to die. Means I will going to separate it with my family. I will going to lose all my power, possession, or my reputation, fame, family, everything, right? One day you will going to lose all of them. Whatever you gain, definitely you will going to lose. That's how you should think. I have to put so much effort right now, but this thing, I will going to lose them one day, right? That's called death is certain. Even this body, since comes with mother womb to till today, finally I have to leave even this body. So everything's separable, will separate it from me. That thinking this again and again really helps. A little bit scary, but it really helps you. Why it helps? Because that meditation helps you to reduce your attachment to power, reputation, family, possession, all of these things. That's why. Then second step is the time of death is uncertain. So when you're going to separate with your family, all this, nobody knows, right? When? Next month? Next week? Tomorrow? Right? Nobody knows. Doesn't matter I'm young. There are many young people are dying. There are many circumstances of the death, right? I'm healthy doesn't mean that. Many healthy people are dying. There are so many causes, conditions. So that second, the time of death is uncertain. The time of this separation with everything is uncertain. Any time comes. That's more powerful. It really helps. Then the third, at the time of death, when I separate with them, what you're going to do? Nothing else benefit, right? Your family cannot help you. Your body cannot help you. Your material, your power, your reputation, your fame, none of these can help except peace of mind. And that moment, if you have compassion, if you have bodhicitta, all of this inner realization, if you live with compassion to all beings, that time, no fear, right? Traveling with very smoothly happy. So accept, peace of your mind, nothing else. So practicing dharma means to make your mind peace. Clean all of this destructive emotion who disturbing your who who creates you fear, worry, attachment, anger, all of this. So practicing dharma means to clean this, right? How? Through cultivate compassion, renunciation, all of this. That's called the practice, dharma. So at the time of death, nothing else except dharma. So that's you meditate. That really helps you to get rid of your laziness on your dharma practice, right? So through understanding on this, when you put constantly practice of compassion, bodhicitta, maybe 1 year after, much better. After 3 years, much better. After 10 years, very good. You may experience real compassion. You may achieve real bodhicitta, right? So in this life, if you really achieved compassion and bodhicitta and emptiness, like so forth, not only benefit to this life peacefully, dying with it peacefully, even your next life, right? To lead you to closer to the Buddhahood. What you need more than that? Even you become billionaire, nothing. all the non-virtuous karma. You make money is not easy. You have to lie, you have to do all kind of things. All those bad karma, you accumulate it, and this karma come with you. The money you make it, then none of this come with you. Somebody will enjoy it, right? All the bad karma you accumulate will wrap into you. So when you put effort, of course, as an ordinary people, you need to survive. You have to work all same time, right? Constantly practice this inner realization. When you're getting, even as a practitioner, at the moment you do not have that much time to do the practice. At least if you do it constantly, even few minutes, constantly listening, hearing, studying, even nurturing, you constantly do it, you plant the seeds there. Familiarity. When you're getting older, you get more time to do practice. Less material, right? That time, better, because you already studied these things. You already have some experience. Then you put it into the practice, much easier, much faster, right? But at the young, nothing else, only material. Then the time comes, maybe mind is not that much sharp to understand now, right? It's more difficult. That is why I started today, constantly listen, study, even not having time to do practice, at least 3 minutes, 10 minutes. I practice what I learn, I practice constantly. Then after getting older, you're getting more time. You never feel lonely. When you retire from your job, you feel more happier. Now I have real time to do the practice. Then you put your mind, your physical things retire. Your mental become more busier now. Right? When you practice meditation, minds become so busy. So it grows your inner wisdom much sharper, right? So that is how the effort, joyful effort, is the one who leads there. So the joyful effort is very important, and that is why today we learn, one of the paramita, joyful effort, how important it is, and what you learn, then now you can try to use it. And purpose of that is be continuously study and continuously meditation. You can always, at least, even few minutes, go with that. And that's in the future really tremendous helps you. Okay, thank you. So finally, conclusion. So reciting the mantra with meditation and rest of all dedication prayers. Om mani padme hum, 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 And thus, Honorable Compassionate Gurus, we seek your blessings that all karmic debts, obstacles, and sufferings of mother beings may without exception ripen upon us right now, and that we may give our happiness and virtues to others, and thereby invest all beings in bliss. And thus, honorable, compassionate gurus, we seek your blessings that all karmic debts, obstacles, and sufferings of mother beings may be taught as salvation. Ripen upon us right now, and that we may give our happiness and virtues to others, and thereby invest all beings in bliss. Chanju Simjo Rinpoche, Maje Panam Kejuji, Jabanya, Meba Yang, Kone, Kondo, Bewash. May the precious and sublime Bodhicitta, not yet born, be born, and that which has been born not decline, but increase forever. Okay, thank you.